So, Greg, thank you so much for joining me today, and happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you so much, Christy. I,
So, I just have a couple questions. My first question is, what inspired you to play the sax?
uh, I always liked growing up in the 50s. I used to hear songs on the radio and when they had a saxophone in them, and sax was like the guitar back in the 50s. So it was when the one that I remember the most is Dion's The Wanderer,
Okay,
and I didn't really I've never played the song, but I can play the solo in my mind and just know exactly what to do on it. So it's uh,
that's
yeah,
great.
that was how I got inspired to be a sax player.
That's awesome.
And
How has your sound evolved over the years? I mean, gosh, you've been playing for how long now?
this is my 60th year of
Wow.
playing in bands. I started when I was 13, and I I just that's all I've ever done. I've had a couple little menial jobs just to for something to do and some at times when I'm home
Hmm.
to make a little extra money sometimes. But no, I played music and played what I wanted to play all my life.
Okay. I also read that you play guitar and harp. Is that true? And are you self-taught?
Well, I'm not a very good teacher, but yes, I've learned everything just by listening to the originals of things and trying to emulate my favorite sax players. And I learned things almost note for note at the beginning before I can. It takes me a couple years really to just have my own thing on a tune. So uh, yeah, guitar is the same kind of approach. Only it's it is me trying to be me. It's not as serious
Right.
to me, but I like to play the guitar too. And it's a good instrument to play if you're going to sing too. So
That's amazing. And you're also a songwriter. Can you share the
I
process on songwriting?
well, I am a songwriter, and I actually feel like in a lot of ways that's that's what I do best.
Hmm.
I believe. Although I'm not driven to write songs, I know that I can do it. And whenever I get an idea, just something will pop into my head. And uh, I've got a lot of songs that I haven't released, and I really want to get them out. I hope I can get them finalized, this year, and figure out how I want to present the music I've written since you know, the late 80s until now. So
Wow. That must be a big catalog.
it's big enough.
Hmm.
It makes me feel like I don't need to write a song today. That's makes me lazy.
You get the day off.
Yeah, I've got a bunch that haven't come out, so why should I write another one? That's It's not a very good attitude, but it's the way I am.
Okay. So let's talk about your days with Roomful of Blues. You spent 25 years as the lead singer and band leader.
Well, I was in the band for 25 years, yes, and I didn't become the de facto leader until Duke Robillard left in 1979, maybe.
Okay.
Oh, and I was there. I stayed in the band until 1994. Um, so yeah, it was just kind of. I always booked the band. That's what I did, and I got the gigs. And uh,
That's tough business, I'm finding out.
well, it used to be more hopeful back then when we were just working to get, we wanted to get somewhere. We believed in ourselves, but there were so many other places to play.
Hmm.
It's not like that now.
Yeah.
There's no middle ground for music, and it's been this way for a long time now. And you've got to be like, on the charts already to get hired, and everybody has to know who you are. I haven't kind of fallen into the whatever people expect or of a certain genre of jazz or blues or whatever I do. I just say, well, I got to be me, and that's
That's a good thing.
well, I hope so. I'm still doing it, and I the hourglass. I look at it as I don't need to worry as much as I used to because about making ends meet, and uh, the hourglass has a lot less sand in it these days for me. I still love to play. I can play. I could probably play better than I ever did, and
That's fantastic. I can't wait to
yeah.
hear you on June 14th.
Thanks. Yeah, I can't wait to be the Stanhope. I mean, that's
Yeah.
been a long time since I
Yeah.
played. I think it was like 20 over 20 years ago, like at the turn of the millennium or
Wow.
somewhere around there that I maybe just before or just after. I don't remember, but it's been a while.
I'm sure it still looks the same.
The band sets up in the same spot and yeah. Do they have a PA?
Yes, they
Good,
do.
good.
Um, so do you have any favorite memories that you want to share with Roomful of Blues? Anything that comes to mind that you care to share with us?
Um, it was, I believed so much in that band when I first joined, and all through my time in Roomful, I felt like I had made the right decision, and um, it was the last few years I was kind of hedging in my mind whether I should stay or try something else because being a songwriter, all the songs that I wrote weren't necessarily for the guys in Roomful. And I knew that they didn't want to do some of the stuff that I did. So I felt it was best we got Sugar Ray as a singer, and he's a great singer. And so I left them in good stead with that kind of
Right.
stuff. But, you have to do things. Sometimes you wait because 25 years is a long time to leave something like that.
Sure.
And I always believed that the band would all, if we stayed together, that we would have been big. And uh, there was a time when after Ronnie Earl had and then left, I can't remember, it was sometime in the 80s. And Duke, I talked to Duke about coming back into the band and rejoining it, but it just never happened. But I was ready for Duke to come back then.
Yeah,
I,
there's
I,
something,
I
must be something in the water in the southern New England area. There's so many fabulous musicians that have come from there.
oh yeah, well,
Gosh,
I don't know. It's just, people hear this, what they're surrounded by, they'll hear things and they'll get their own ideas. But I'm going to Europe next week with Duke and Sugar Ray and the Blue Tones, and
okay,
uh, so it's like, we're basically all neighbors, not actually, but we grew up in the same town
sure.
and we don't have known each other for years. And,
Yeah. I know I envy the folks who live over there with all the fantastic music they get to hear.
yeah, 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 absolutely.
So I know
And,
that you were a sideman for Jimmy Vaughn's Tilted Twirl Band. And I
yeah,
also read that you played with Stevie Ray Vaughan way back when.
yeah, when he did his Carnegie Hall record, we played
Okay.
Carnegie Hall with him, and
Can you
yeah,
recall any similarities or differences between the brothers?
they're both great.
Yeah.
Uh, and Stevie was an amazing, it's pretty easy to understand why he got over that hump because he was more from on the harder edged rock side of blues. But when he used to sit in with us, he would do exactly what needed to be done. He knew how to do it all. And Jimmy, to me, is I don't want to say one's better than the other. They're different, but
Mhm.
Jimmy is more what I gravitate towards. He's really, I call him Louis Armstrong. He's like he has a great tone. He doesn't play too many notes. Every note means something, and it tells a story, and he doesn't play a lot of notes. Um, so I'm somebody who likes space.
Hmm.
I should
Yeah,
have
I
been an
wish Jimmy
astronaut.
the best of luck this summer with his illness. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I haven't, I just sent him a message, but I haven't heard anything, and I don't
Yeah,
expect to.
yeah,
But he'll, hopefully he'll get through it. I don't know what it is, and
yeah.
but they've come so far and stuff like that, you know.
That's true. So let's talk about better things. So you've got your current band is called Heavy Juice. How was that
Yeah,
name formed?
there, well, there was, I think Tiny Grimes back in the old days when Red Prysock was with him, and they had a song called Heavy Juice.
Okay.
And there was a guy in Providence, he's passed away, Louis Camp, and he called his band Heavy Juice. And when I started mine, I really named the band after the when I made the Blacktop record. It looks I'm playing the sax, and looks like there's a lightning bolt coming out of it.
Yep.
So the idea of the juice came back, and I just said, I'm going to call the band Heavy Juice. And
Cool.
Louis had already passed on, and I figured he wouldn't
Wouldn't
mind
mind.
much if I used the name. But that photograph on Heavy Juice, the first solo album that I made, it was actually a photograph. It was photographer with a long exposure. They flashed the shot, and the photographer then got behind me with a sparkler and waved it around. And that was just one of the shots the way they came out. I mean, he didn't show up. Only the light would show up because it
Wow.
was a long. I don't understand it, but
Yeah. Oh, that's neat. That's interesting. I'm never gonna look at every time I see a sparkler now on 4th of July, I'm gonna think about you, Greg.
yeah. Well, most people would not even think that it was actually a real photograph. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
it,
awesome.
yeah. That was before the internet.
No. So you've got your latest release, Who Did This?
Yeah.
I love that album. Can you tell me about how you put the concept together for it?
Basically, the concept was take my keyboard player who's been with me for, you know, over 20 years, and he had never played on a record with me. And I just wanted to go into the Knickerbocker, which is the
Hmm.
famous club here.
Yeah,
And, you know, I did it during the day when, you know, we could use the room and just get use the club as a studio,
right.
basically. It
It
was
has a
pretty
great
much,
sound there.
yeah. And I have recording gear, and I took it down there, and I hired an engineer, uh, and I had Bob Ruggiero come in from Las Vegas, who's played with me. In fact, I don't know if he ever played the Stanhope House, but he's played with me off and on for, you know, the 20 years.
Hmm.
He was with Sam Butera, the guy who backed up Louis Prima,
Yeah,
and Bob is when I first went to hear Louis Prima, it was in Las Vegas because they lived in Las Vegas. And for all these years, I just hadn't seen Sam for whatever reason. And I said, I got to go see Sam. And I ended up watching the drummer all night, this guy Bob, because I had never seen anybody play, you know, he's just got rhythm, and it's all simplicity, but it's the tone that he makes. And that's amazing. And you know, he likes playing with me. He's with Van Morrison. He's been with Van Morrison for many years, but he'll always, if I call him, he'll come. You know, it's as long as he
he's
can,
available. Yeah,
he'll come. Uh, I, he's a fun guy. He's an amazing drummer for what I do.
right.
And let's see. So that was that. I just, you know, three guys went in there, and
You
we
just made
just played
magic happen.
one, two, three, four, boom, you know. And I wanted to do ballads. I didn't want it to be a rock and roll record. It was more like this is really what I do a lot of the time now. Um, well, I do a jazz gig on Sunday and um, up at the up here at another place called the Ocean House, which is a five-star hotel, and it's just an amazing place. I've had that gig since they reopened in 2010 or
Oh,
something.
wow.
And
So you
yeah,
might say you have a residency there.
I guess so. They
Yeah.
haven't they haven't evicted me yet. Every time I get a gig that's a long term, we'll do it every week, I'm always thinking the first week I'll go in and just do what I do, and then be thinking that this isn't going to last. They're gonna can me for sure.
No.
But no one ever did. I used to have a steady gig on Monday, and they kept me for 18 years, and then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And,
I'm glad they reopened.
yeah, yeah, me too.
So I know you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but I know you said you have an upcoming project that you're working on. You're hoping to get another release out.
Yeah, and I mean everything is subject to change, and it's at the moment kind of thing. But I want to get my original stuff, but I want to put it together in a way that I'm not going to alienate the people who like the saxophone. So I've been torn all my life between this and that, between songwriting, between playing the horn, between singing and playing the guitar. And it's not a people want to know what you are when like record companies. That's the way it used to be. I guess there
Right.
aren't any record companies anymore, um, but I'm just doing what I want to do, and I don't know what I'm going to play until I get up there and with the people, and I don't I have I can go in a lot of different directions within what I do. I have things that I can okay, we'll try this or try that. It's I just don't work with a set list.
So you base it
Um,
on the audience interaction?
Well, yeah, again, but it's also how I feel,
Hmm.
how the band feels, how the sound in the room feels. There's all these factors that are coming in that I'm not even really aware of. It's just like,
Yeah, it
okay,
just happens.
do this now. You know,
All right, so I have a make-believe question. You're stuck on an island. You only can bring three albums. What albums do you want to bring with you?
I would bring, Ben Webster, a Ben Webster record. I don't have albums anymore. I have
Oh,
records in my office, all the albums and everything, but very rarely, I don't even have a record player that I use to play them. But, Ben Webster is now, has been for quite a while now, but he's my just love his sound. He has the sound that I try to make. Illinois Jacquet too. But as far as albums that I used to have, this I
okay.
can't say
Fair enough.
whatever I'm left with. I guess whatever it's on the island with me, I'll make room for it
Yeah.
somehow. Give you an example. My two favorite musicians are Hank Williams Sr.
Okay.
and and Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
So tell me what do
Those are your
where
other two.
uh, what I'm saying is they're very different
Absolutely.
styles of music, and but the reason that I like them is they move me in a way that Louis can do anything. He was the ultimate entertainer, and his tone and all that. He just he played solos, but they didn't sound like solos because they were so good. They were melodies that you could remember after, and that's what I like as far as my try to make my style more like that.
Hmm.
And Hank Williams was his songs are timeless. This is the words to his songs. They still mean there's a couple, hey, good looking and all that stuff like that. But uh, A $2 bill is rare these days, uh, but most of his songs, I'm so lonesome I could cry, is probably the most amazing,
Yeah.
you know, tune that I've. It's one of my favorite tunes.
I'll have to go listen to it after this.
Yeah,
So do you have any hobbies outside of music?
not really. People always say, what do you do for fun? Well, I've been doing it
Yeah,
all my life, and I'm very lucky and very fortunate to have been able to do what I really want to do,
that's great.
and and I get mad at myself, if things aren't, I feel like, oh, this isn't working the way I want it to, but it doesn't stop me from trying.
Too hard on yourself, probably.
Maybe.
Last question. Do you have any words of wisdom for up and coming bands out there trying to make it in the music business?
You're talking to the wrong person. Um, I would just say be true to yourself. I mean, that's the most important thing because you don't know what level you're going to end up at, and you can't. Uh, I remember when I joined Roomful, I played in my own bands, and I had a band. Duke and I had a band, and but I had all rock and roll. It was all rock and roll bands until I joined Roomful when I was like in my late, like 19 or something. But from 13 to 19, in this area, I had a good thing going. It was
Yeah, I'm
really
sure.
cool. And uh, I used to tell people I can buy all my friends cheeseburgers in the summertime because we used to play it at the beach, and I had a gig every night. It was like I played at this teenage nightclub. It was great. It was really great. So, I guess I joined Roomful. I knew that I wasn't. There was no market for what we did. I heard, the and I said to myself when I was 19 years old, if you join these guys, are you going to regret it when you're 60 years old? And if not, if the level hasn't, it's hasn't risen to a point of stardom and I never thought in a million years that we could be considered that way anyway. But I just wanted to play music that I thought was good. And that's when I joined Roomful. I was able, they, do
Yeah.
I mean, that's when I started playing the sax, even though I had a sax all during my teenage years. But I was playing Beatles and Animals and, Rolling Stones and
Yeah.
Robert Nero tunes. And
Well, that's great. Well, I thank you for your time today, Greg. I'm really
yeah,
honored to be with you. This is very nice of you to allow me to interview you. I appreciate it.
well, thanks so much for taking the time to do it, Christy, and looking forward to meeting you in
Yeah.
person. And I've been told that you're a good one. So,
Oh, thank you.
and I'm also, I want to mention Dean Schott uh, because he's my buddy and he's really a unique musician. I latched on to Dean when the first time he had us come down to Cecil's in New
Yep.
Jersey, and he sat in, and I hope that I'm sure I don't think he's going to leave before we play. I know he's
No, he's
opening.
opening for you, so
Yeah,
no, he's gonna stay.
and I look forward to having him do some stuff with me.
That's
So
great.
yeah, yeah, it's an extra bonus for me.
Ooh, baby, goodness gracious, the way I love you. NJBS.